Hello, this is Daniel Mart, and today I'm going to be doing a review for Room, the 2015 movie, not The Room with Tommy Wiseau, but this is Room, with Brie Larson, Jacob Tremblay, Sean Bridgers, Wendy Crusoe, Joan Allen, William H. Macy, Tom McCamus, and Jack Fulton. So yeah. Before I begin, though, 10-second spoiler warning as usual for those who have yet to actually watch the movie and haven't already. Stop the video, go check it out, and come back and watch the rest of this review. 10-second spoiler warning as usual, starting now. So yeah, 10 seconds are up. So for those who have yet to actually watch the movie and haven't already, please don't comment down below or be messaging me that I never gave you a fair warning, because as usual, I did. So as usual, quick synopsis, likes and dislikes, and then the rate. So basically, you have these two people, a mother and son, and the mother's called Ma. Um, Joy, she's called, her real name is Joy, but the kid calls her Ma because mom, mama. So Ma, and the kid is called Jack, and they're basically trapped in this room. And you have this guy called Old Nick, and he comes into the room about once, twice, maybe 3 times a week top to basically give them supplies, give them food, clothes, necessities, medicine, whatever. And this kid, he basically thinks that this room is his whole life, that this is everything there is. Come to find out that the mother is kidnapped, or she was kidnapped. This guy raped her, and Jack is the outcome of the rape, to say the least. And when the kid turns 5, uh, Ma has this plan with the kid Jack, to basically leave, and which he's basically gonna play dead. And when he comes to a stop sign, or when he gets to a stop sign, because old Nick will transport him to bury him somewhere. But when he stops, the kid is set to run, get any pedestrian, get anybody he can to help her escape as well, and eventually reunite with the family. So he does that. The two eventually do reunite with Ma's family, and you have the grandma there. You have grandma played by Joan Allen. You have the grandpa there played by William H. Macy, and then you have the step grandpa, I guess, played by Tom McCamus. And it's a pretty functional family for the most part. You do have your issues. You do have your inner turmoil between this family. One of the grandpa, the main grandpa, the biological grandpa, is banished, I guess, from the family because he can't see the child, or he doesn't want to look at the child because he knows it's an outcome of rape. So that happens. You have you have Ma, who wants to commit suicide. She attempts suicide, and this kid Jack is really silent at first. He only really talks to his mom, and then as the film progresses, he talks to the rest of his family. He makes a friend, in Jack Fulton, and yeah, and basically at the end of the film, it's him saying bye bye to the room. And at first I had mixed feelings about this because the way they do it, it's 2 hours long, but it feels shorter than it actually is. And the two parts, the first hour is them stuck in this room, and the second hour is them getting re-civilized into society, re-establishing themselves into society. I loved, I guess, yeah, I loved the second hour of this film. It was great. The performances were subtle. The performances were great, were subtle. And yeah, especially how the kid, he's kind of like shy at first, and he doesn't really want to talk to anybody. And then as the film progresses, he kind of talks to everybody. So I thought that was pretty good, subtle performances. But the first half of this film, I fucking hated it. Oh my gosh. They tried to be ambiguous, okay, during the first film, but the first part of the film. But there's a difference between being ambiguous and interesting and just being boring. And when they explained stuff during the first half, I just thought it to be really trivial, really obvious. even for the kid, I thought it to be really obvious. And at first, I didn't really like the kid's performance because I just thought of him as an entitled shithead, basically. I know that's really harsh to say for a kid who's like 5 or 6 years old. I mean, he's 5 in the film. Who knows how much he is in real life? But I felt like he was an entitled shithead. There's because when they're doing the best example in my opinion is when they're doing the birthday cake, because at the beginning of the film he's turning 5, and they make the birthday cake and they don't have candles, or he doesn't have a present, and he's like, I want candles, I want a present now, 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 get it for me, Ma, get Old's Nick to get it. And he feels like such an entitled little shithead, and I just want him to be like, shut the fuck up before I smack you upside the head. And it didn't really dawn at me at first that he's a product of rape. It didn't really dawn at me. Or it didn't even cross my mind. And then they explained it. I'm like, oh, okay, that seems kind of fucking obvious. I should have noticed that first. And that does seem kind of obvious. So yeah, at first I will say I didn't really think that he was a product of rape at first. It didn't really dawn at me. But when they explained it, I kind of like I paused the film and then I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, despite the fact that it is trivial, I would say they kind of got me on that because I really wasn't thinking about it. But the rest of the stuff, how the room has two sides, you got the inside and the outside. I thought that was really trivial, even for the kid. So yeah, so the first hour I fucking hated. I will say though, for the first hour, it did feel shorter than in an hour. I will say that. I will give it credit to that. It feels shorter than an hour. It feels like 45 minutes, give or take a few. It feels like 45 minutes. So yeah, I will say it feels a bit faster than what it actually is. So I did like it to that degree, but I just felt like the kid's performance, he felt like an entitled shithead. Brie Larson just kind of, I understand that she was frustrated, and that was the performance she had to give at the beginning, where she's frustrated. But I felt like she was just frustrated with the kid in general, like in real life as well. I felt like she was just frustrated because the kid's just like some entitled shithead. It wasn't until like the second part where he's actually shutting up where I actually liked his performance, because it is more subtle. And yeah, and that's where I have mixed feelings, because at first he's like some entitled shithead, which I fucking hated. The second part, like, it's more subtle, and he gives a great performance. The first half, worst performance, a terrible performance, a really annoying as shit performance. But the second half, that's a really great, and it's like a transformation within 5 or 6 minutes in movie time. So yeah, it was pretty interesting. It is an interesting film, I will say that. And it is really philosophical in a sense, because despite the fact that there is that in the room aspect, when they're in the room, there is that obvious fact that there's an inside and an outside, and that everything comes from the outside and all that. There is some kind of philosophical message behind it, which I really did enjoy. So the writing is pretty good. Pretty good. The acting, for the most part, from the second half on, is pretty good. The first half I fucking hated. The second half I fucking loved. So that's why I'm so split on this movie. So yeah, because the first half was boring as shit. I fucking hated it. But I was happy that it was 45 minutes. But they did give off some pretty interesting philosophical standpoints. The second half was amazing. Great acting, great performances. The philosophical standpoint, the philosophical writing is still there. But everything's better. So that's why I'm so mixed on this movie. It feels shorter than it needs. And I know it's 2 hours long, but it feels shorter because of the part of them in the room. My one thing though, it's kind of like I don't know if you guys ever seen Synopsis, where they kind of just talk about the things that kind of just happen. If they ever do, which I doubt, but if Synopsis ever does something on the room, the one thing I was thinking is their plan, their escape plan. Make sure to have the kid pretend that he's dead, and then make him have a runaway. They got really fucking lucky on that plan, because I could have easily predicted like 10 ways the plan could have just failed. I could have definitely seen like 10 different ways this plan could have just failed. So they got really lucky on the plan. So yeah, I mean, I called so much bullshit on that. So yeah, they got extremely lucky on the plan, because I could have, I literally had a list in my head of different ways that this could just go off wrong. I mean, like how do you know he hasn't changed his car since he kidnapped you? First off, Maybe he has a different car. What are the odds he's actually gonna put you in the trunk? Maybe he could put you in the inside of the truck. Maybe he's just gonna bury you right there in the car. And what if he tries to test out to make sure you're dead? Like I don't know, stab the kid or some crap like that. They got like a really fucking lucky. What if the pedestrian wasn't there when the kid ran out or whatever? Like, what if there was no one there? So yeah. What if this, I just saw so many ways this could have gone, their plan could have gone wrong, and I'm just surprised it went the way it is. So yeah, I'm really torn on this film, because, again, the first half I fucking hated. It was boring, it was annoying, it was boring and annoying. The kid was an entitled shithead, and Brie Larson just seemed like she was frustrated with the whole movie in general, because she knew this was going to be she felt like this is going to be pretty bad. Second part comes around. It's great. It's subtle. It has that inner turmoil between the family at times, and it's just great and amazing. And then, yeah, and then something that I didn't even realize till after the movie was over is that this kind of shit happens. People get kidnapped. People get raped. And it's kind of just a fact of life in a sense. And that's kind of interesting for them to even explore this concept. So yeah. I'm really torn on this one because I hated the first half, loved the second half. Yeah. I'll probably give it extra points because the first half, even though it's an hour, it feels like 45 minutes. So I'll give it extra points on that. Yeah. But I still call bullshit on the plan. If there's one thing I need to call bullshit on anything, it's the plan, because I definitely see so many ways that could have just gone wrong. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, and 6 being decent, I'll give this an 8 out of 10. I'm being a little bit generous on this rate. I do recommend. I do think this is a film you should watch. Yeah, I do recommend this is a film you should watch. But since I'm so torn on this, I don't know. But I'm gonna be a little bit generous. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. And yeah, that's basically it for now. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I do movie reviews, TV show reviews, and comic book reviews. Comment down below on your thoughts on the movie. Have you seen it? And if not, why not? And if you have, what are your thoughts on it? Comment all that down below. Let me know. Like the video, share on Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, or whatever you prefer. And that's basically it for now. This is Daniel Mart signing off.